Hi, welcome to the 3D Pendant. In the last two videos I posted, we made this guy. And if you missed the first two parts of the trilogy, the links are in the description. In the end, I ran out of time to tell you how to make the fun head accessories like the teeth, the horns, the ears, and all the other fun parts. So let's get to it. So, what about the teeth and horns and all the other fun optional parts? You can skip them and still have a dragon, but if you feel dragon without teeth is not a dragon, then the time to add any extra parts would be before you join the two head parts together. First, trace all the parts you are planning to use, and don't forget you will need two jaws. As with all the previous parts, iron them and trim them back to the original size. Some parts will tell you to mark the middles, so do that. Now we need to shape the jaws to conform to the inside of the head tube. The hot water forming process is better for this. You don't want them to get so hot they will stick to the head tube. Not yet. We need to do a few other things to them first. When you cut the teeth back to size after the ironing step, just cut the top and sides. The actual teeth are best cut after they are already attached to the jaws. Then we'll shape the teeth so they fit the curve of the jaw. Like so. Now we are ready to make him cute little dentures. We will fuse it together, starting with the centering marks, so they don't go on lopsided. The top may get a bit messy, but that part won't show anyway, so don't worry about it. You can always clean up the parts that will show if you need to. Then mark where the teeth go. It's helpful to clip the pattern onto the teeth for this. And cut them out. I find the short cutting pliers are just the right size for this step. And having the teeth already attached to the jaw gives you a chance to cut almost to the jaw for longer and sharper teeth. Make sure you cut off all the pencil marks too. Now we'll repeat with the other jaw. Here the pencil marks are not as important as that the fangs point straight down. So alter the pencil marks if you have to. And we are ready to try them on to see how they fit him, how far forward you want them and such. Make sure they are centered and then just glue them in. Trim any extra plastic off and clean up after this step. Also, keep in mind you just made the inside diameter of the head tube a bit smaller by the addition of the jaws. So you may have to trim the head segment of the black square that goes in it, and also the dot that goes on the end of it, so it fits again. Now, after this adventure, if you are ready for more, let's tackle the horns. Eastern dragons seem to have kind of antlers rather than horns. If you choose to do those, you may also need the extra hair part on the pattern. And as usual, you have options. You can either iron them and cut them out like any of the other parts, or you can bake them to keep them more 3D and glossy, so they stand out a bit among the flat and matte finish of the hair. If you choose the baking option, refer to the baking video in the description on those details. I am not sure if you can tell from the video, but they do have quite a different look. Again, it's up to you. Next, we'll have to make room for them in the hairpiece. I am going to cut it all the way to the orange face part in the 2 spots where the horns will go. And while I'm at it, I will also make openings for the ears on the sides of the head at about eye level. Planning to tuck the horns behind the central 3 hairs, so I need to bend them out of the way. Another good way of forming is with hot steam. I don't want to soften the whole face anymore, so I don't want to dunk the whole thing in hot water. I just want to strategically soften it in the place where I want it to bend. And you probably saw people online doing this with flame, but this is a bit less intimidating since you can't overmelt it so easily. So take your time to style his hair a bit while you are at it. This is how they will go on, and we will fuse them on right here. As always, try to stabilize the pieces as best as you can. It will make your life easier. And go for it. You want to attach them well. That is way more important than if it's super clean. If it makes a mess, we have the extra hair to hide it with, remember? Make sure you clean your heat tool often, so you don't have any burnt plastic on it. And since we already cut those slits for the ears, let's make those next. I traced them in the 2 colors and covered them with orange so the red doesn't show on the back of the ears. However, once you iron it, it will probably still show. So you can put another layer of orange on at that point, if you care, and iron it again before you trim them to size. Now here I am finally happy with the color of both sides. So let's shape them. I told you it will be an adventure. This is actually the easy and fun part. Just soften it on a piece of Teflon sheet or parchment and squeeze. Wear gloves for this. The Teflon sheet gets quite hot. The attaching is a little trickier. I will make some more room with my heat tool right here and stick it right on. However, this may not be super safely attached yet. So let's put some more plastic in the back where it won't show as much. And possibly reorganize that a bit with the heat tool. Repeat it on the other side, and then we will put that extra hairpiece on to mask any mess we might have made with attaching the horns. Now it could be the time to join the two parts of the head. And you already know how to do that. Right here. Are you sure you also want the tongue? Of course you do. So pan it, iron it, trim it, and this is the black dot it will get mounted on. This may take some planning. The dot will eventually go inside the head somewhere about where the orange meets the pattern part. So decide how long you want it and where it needs to get attached to the dot so it sticks out just right. We'll make a little attaching tab at the end of the tongue. I find that scoring with the heat tool is the cleanest way to make good corners. Just use light touch with your heat tool. You want it to soften along the bend line but not cut it off. And then bend it. Mount the dot on the body skeleton first. Once you have the tongue on it, it will be in the way and you won't be able to do this ironing on trick anymore. Also a word of caution. Now that you have the jaws with the teeth inside the head tube, there will be a lot less room, so you may have to trim the black dot smaller, but I already mentioned that. In fact, you may have to trim the first black square too, to fit it inside the head tube. Attach the tongue at your premeditated location on the dot. And check if the whole thing still fits into the head. The eyebrows give him personality. If you glue them higher, he will be more surprised. If you glue them lower, he will be meaner. You can invert them or even use them as whiskers. Play with it. Try different placements with stick-on putty, and then when you are happy, glue them on permanently. Now, why does my dragon have a scaly nose? That was a troubleshooting measure. I welded the face seam too, which ended up looking rather messy, straight in the middle of his face. So this was a good strategy to hide it, which is what you can do right here if your seam is not the cleanest on the planet. Or you can make another extra hairpiece and stick it right here to give him a little beard and hide the mess. And you are done. Time to play with it. We did cover a lot of ironing and other heat processing in this video. It's a bit challenging project, so take it slow. Took me 3 videos to just explain it. So let me know in the comments if you still have questions. And until next time, go and make a dragon.